Welcome to TwoQuestions.tv. I'm your host, Susan Baroncini-Moe. It's Friday, and that means it's Coming Attractions Day, which means I'm going to tell you what's coming next week and in the next month or so. And it's also something new, Viewer Question Day. So now Fridays will be Coming Attractions, but also if you send me questions, I'll be answering one viewer question every Friday. So this week, the question comes from my friend Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. She said, I sort of feel like you need two ferns. Acknowledged. I may have to make some adjustments back here. I've been thinking I need to make some adjustments back here. I'm not sure yet what this background needs to be, but I'm pretty sure it needs to not be this. But as I've told you in past episodes, folks, this is an evolving work in progress thing. And so, every week I try to, improve the show a little bit. I try to grow things a little bit. I try to, do things a little bit. But I get your reference, and you are right. I do need two ferns, or at least something that's me. Okay, so the question that Kelly asked was, she said, your breakfast smoothie sounds yummy. What's the pH of the finished product? Great question, Kelly. I'm afraid the answer is, I don't actually know the answer. I know that it's probably alkaline or neutral to alkaline. It has, and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, if you watch, I'm going to put the link to the video on energy in the cards today, because that's where I talked about my smoothie and I gave you the recipe for what I put in it. And so what's in it is mango, which is like 5.8 to 6.0. Papaya, it's about the same. Spinach is like 6.3 to 6.5, and almond water is like 6.1, sort of, ish. There's kind of dependent on the brand, I suppose. And then I throw in the alkaline water that's 9.5. So I figure it's probably pretty alkaline, but I haven't tested it. I bought my pH meter just to test the waters that I was trying, and then I wasn't going to use it anymore, so I sold it. So good question. I wish I'd kept the pH meter now so I could have tested the smoothie. So thank you for your question. If you want to ask me a question, please don't hesitate to do that. You can ask your question in the comments, and then and you can ask in the comments of any of my videos, and I'll answer the question on a Friday show. So don't be afraid to ask. I'm human. You can ask me a question. So before I get into the guest and the question about who's coming, what are the coming attractions, I want to take a minute and say thank you, because this show was sort of an experiment, and I had no idea how it was going to go. And I am very excited because so many of you who are people that have, followed me on Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest or Instagram, or are on my email list, or have, sort of followed my work over the years and read my blogs and, know who I am. So many of you have come to YouTube to watch my videos, and I really, really appreciate it. I didn't really know how this was going to go, and I wasn't sure how long it would take to build this and grow this, and I just want to say how much I appreciate it. My assistant's doing a fair amount of marketing, but I know a lot of you have followed me from my other work, and I really appreciate it. Like, thank you for watching my videos. And that kind of leads into the coming attractions and the guests for today, because, or for this coming week, because the other thing that's happened is we have had kind of a crazy week of booking guests and amazing people. And so not only do we have great guests coming up next week and for the rest of the month, but we also have booked guests through the end of October and into November. And they're all amazing people. And I'm really excited about it because, I was hoping we'd get great people, but the caliber of experts and authors and really cool, interesting people that are coming on the show is fantastic. And so that's the other side of it is, when you do a show like this, you hope you get interesting, great guests, but you also hope people want to watch it. And so, I feel right now like I have both of those, and I'm so grateful. And I hope it continues to grow. And in the last week, we've had to scramble to put some systems in place to make scheduling guests a little easier. So that's been a little bit of work, but I think we've got it under control now. And I just want to say again, thank you so much. Now, coming next week, we had a little shifting around that needed to happen. Remember last week in the Coming Attractions, I mentioned that sometimes schedules change, people have to move, for whatever reason, but also weather happens. And so in the last week, we had these hurricanes, and one of my guests was affected by them. And so we kind of moved things around a little bit. And so I'm excited to tell you that next week, I'll be interviewing Monica Eaton Cardone. She is an expert in what we call chargebacks, which if you're an online merchant, you want to watch this interview. If you sell online, whether it's tangible products or digital products, you really want to watch this because, this week I talked about the Equifax scandal. And one of the things that, and I'm going to update you next week on that as well, but one of the things we know that happens in a scandal like this is that merchants experience a lot more chargebacks. And so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk with Monica about how do we handle that? How do we manage that? And so because, so many people's information was stolen, it becomes very easy for people to say, oh, I, bought that info product and now I don't want it, or now I wish I hadn't had buyer's remorse, and oh, oops, someone stole my credit card. So how do you prove that was really the person? And, those are some questions that we'll be talking about with Monica. So I'm excited that Monica and I are going to talk next week. Also next week, parents, if your children are watching this show, please cover their eyes. We don't want to give them any ideas. Ready? All right. I'm going to be talking next week with Les Trachtman, who wrote this book. I can't say it. I'm not going to say this word that's marked out. I'm not saying it. This is an interesting book. This book, if you are a founder of an organization, a business, whatever, a nonprofit, whatever it is that you've started, this book is about how to know when it's time to turn the reins over to someone else. So you've started a company, it's become very successful. And the premise of this book is that the things that you needed to be successful as the founder of this company may not be the things that you need to take it to that next level, to grow the company. So this is about how to know when it's time to let go of your company, not let go, but like to bring in a successor, how to help your employees to be more empowered, and to let them go a little bit and do their thing. And also how not to screw up your company by being, sort of stubborn about leaving your role as founder. So I don't think it's always the case that a founder can't grow the company, but this is a book about how to know. So I'm going to talk to Les about that next week. Really interesting book. And then what's coming this month, because we're about halfway through the month now. So what else is coming is I have booked Sean Cannell, who is the sort of brains behind Sean Thinks. He's half of the team on Video Influencers. He is a true expert in video and YouTube and how to grow your YouTube channel, and purely, partly selfish reasons that I wanted him to come on, but also I noticed that Sean is one of those people who is super comfortable on camera, and I have my own thoughts about how to get comfortable on camera, but I was curious about what his thoughts would be as well, because I know one of the things that keeps people from engaging in starting a video show, starting video at all, is this discomfort with being on camera. And there's a lot to think about, and it can be really uncomfortable. So I invited Sean to come on the show. He graciously agreed, and so I'm going to talk to him. And then later this month as well is my friend Bob Burke, who was going to be in this week, but he lives in Florida and was affected by the storms. He's all right. He just didn't have power when we were going to record the interviews. So we're going to do this later this month. And like I've mentioned in previous episodes, Bob and I have been talking about the Go-Giver for years, literally years, but we've never talked about it like this before. And I don't know that Bob has ever talked about it like this before. So I'm excited to talk to Bob about the Go-Giver in kind of a new way. And like I said, we're booked into November now for interviews. But that doesn't mean that the schedule doesn't shift around a little bit. So if there's someone that you'd like me to interview, if there's an author whose book you really loved and it was life-changing, or there's an expert that you know of, or someone that you think is really interesting and fascinating, leave a note in the comments. Send me a message so that I can reach out to them. I am interested in what interests you. And this is not a show just for entrepreneurs. This is not a show just for business owners. This is not a show just for anybody. It's for everybody. And I know that's not the smartest thing to do with a new YouTube channel. I know that you're supposed to have a niche and all that, but I just want this show to be about how to live the most amazing life possible, how to, you know, be safe, how to be happy, you know, all the little tips and tricks and hacks that you can think of. I want to kind of include those in here and just kind of factor in whatever we need to factor in so that we can all be happier, healthier, more successful, and have more fun. So who knows what's going to happen on the show in the future, but please don't hesitate to use the comments liberally. Ask me questions, share your thoughts, share your potential guests, and you know, we'll reach out to people. Whether it's an expert who has a book or doesn't matter. Just, you know, if you think someone's interesting, we'll book them. We'll try to book them, let's say. I'm pretty good at tracking people down, and so far, pretty much everyone said yes. So we'll see. All right, so I hope you're as excited as I am about what's coming. And if you are, and if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up. And look forward to you subscribing as well, so that you don't miss any of these great interviews and subjects that are coming up. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.